Hey there, it's Alana from Essence Coaching, and I'm on a little bit of a rant today. I am really done with platitudes and trite responses to people who are struggling with mental health issues, with depression, with being unhappy. Telling someone who is feeling like maybe they don't want to be here or feeling isolated, alone, like they don't want to live, that they should just think positive is not going to help them. It's not going to benefit their well-being. If that were all it took, we would just think positive. I spent so many years of my life struggling, working on myself, doing the spiritual work, trying to be positive, think positive, all of that kind of stuff, and it didn't help. It just made me feel more isolated and alone. I just read a post today that sort of broke my heart, and it was a woman who was sharing her vulnerability about how alone and isolated she felt in life and how she wasn't connected to a lot of motivation for living. And I was just just almost annoyed with the way that people respond. Like, up, chin up, like, things are going to be better tomorrow, like, you're going to make it through this, and just focus on the positive or whatever. How do you know I'm going to make this through this? How do you know what I'm struggling with? And just, oh my gosh, for so many years I heard these kinds of things, these kinds of comments that were really not helpful for me, because it just made me feel more alone and more isolated and worse about myself and more screwed up. And this is part of what motivated me to write my book, Finding Your Unhappy, A Soul Searcher's Guide to Peace and Happiness in Everyday Life, was the decades that I spent receiving everybody else's trite advice to what I should do to just make myself feel happier that never worked for me and just left me feeling worse, left me feeling more isolated, more alone, more disconnected from people in my life, and wondering what the hell was wrong with me, that if all this, simple pat advice didn't work for me, then I must be really broken and screwed up. Fortunately, now I know that's not true, and I know that there's a reason for the experiences that I had, and there's a way out of them. And it's not the simple, just think positive kinds of advice that so often are provided to people in a hard time. Now, what can you do when someone in your life is feeling blue or going, and Tammy says, absolutely, it does make you feel worse. I'm so with you, Tammy. I'm just so over this. I'm just so over people not understanding how to be there, how to be supportive, or what is really going on in these kinds of circumstances, and that it's not just because people aren't trying or thinking positively enough. I mean, that's the one I'm harping on the most, but there's other ones there too, of like just these like, oh, everything happens for a reason, and just these little things, when it's a incredibly confusing, tumultuous experience to go through, and to wonder, like, what is going on with you, and why do you struggle so much just to be happy? And why is it so hard for you when it seems so easy for other people? And mostly I find that the people that are in those kinds of places, they want to be understood. They want compassion. They want someone to come up alongside of them and walk with them, not try to yank them out of where they are or try to tell them what you need to do is, what your problem is, here's how you fix it. But more to be like, hey, I'm with you, and I hear that you're suffering, and I hear that things are hard for you, and I want you to know that I'm here for you. Like, that is such a different response, and it's such a more compassionate response. And then listen to what the person's going on, what's going on for that person. Tammy, I'm going to share your thing. My mom would say, you just need to exercise. What's so bad about your life? Exactly. Or today on this post that I'm a little bit harping on, One person told the girl to eat more spinach. Like, can you believe it? That's the advice and the suggestion that this poor woman was getting. If you just eat more spinach, it will increase your vibration. Or do positive affirmations. Just tell yourself 3 times, I am light. And that will change things. Now, maybe it would a little bit, but really, it's like, how do we create connection rather than perpetuate the sense of isolation that people are in these experiences are already going through? And I know for me, when I was freaking out and, feeling suicidally depressed, like, not only did I have the burden of trying to understand what was going on for me, I had the fear and the sort of weight of not freaking other people out in my life, and feeling like now, like when I would tell my parents what was going on for me, they would freak out and be like, oh my gosh, we're so worried about you, we're so concerned about you. And really what I wanted was compassion and understanding, and so that just isolated me further, and I felt like, wow, now I have to be taking care of them and their concern, and they're just going to freak out if I tell them anything, so I'm not going to tell them anything. And that just made me feel more alone. So what if next time someone in your life is going through a hard time, instead of getting a pat answer or trying to snap them out of it, you really connected with them and tried to understand what it's like to be them, where they're coming from, what's going on for them? What if you could have a sensitivity to where they are, a compassion for their experience, and come alongside them? And it's not to say that you can't help them transition into a different state of being, but maybe they just need a hug. Maybe they just need someone to be there with them and to understand the amount of pain that they are in, whether or not it seems reasonable, whether or not it seems warranted, whether or not they have any, quote, good reason to suffer. They are suffering, and what could your compassion do that your trite advice couldn't? And what could truly being there and truly showing up for someone offer them that just telling them to cheer up or feel better? Empathy, yes, thank you, Sarah. Empathy. It's about empathy. It's about compassion. It's about knowing that people are truly struggling, and how can you be a caring human being in their life and not just give some sort of answer that oh, here's another piece that I think is really relevant to this, and thank you guys for all the likes and hearts. I see this is resonating for sure, and I think it resonates for a lot of people, and so many people that I know have been afraid to talk about how hard things are for them, how much they've struggled, afraid to talk about feeling suicidal. I used to be afraid of that, and the more I talk about it and the more I'm willing just to be open and honest, the more people are open and honest with me, and the more that they're willing to share their hearts and their stories. And what a relief it is to be like, wow, you know what? I'm not as crazy as I thought, because someone else out there is getting what I'm going through and is understanding the experience that I'm having. What if we could get away from the stigma that there is about talking about mental health and talking about not being happy or being depressed or not wanting to live, and what if we could give a space for that kind of conversation? Because people are terrified to talk about it, because they're terrified to be judged. They're terrified to be given the kind of advice that just makes them feel more alone and more isolated and more disconnected from life. And so it's like they keep it to themselves, which in my experience is some of the worst thing that you can do. Is it just gets worse when you isolate, and yet part of that isolation comes from lack of societal healthy and supportive response to what people are going through. So that's my little rant for tonight. I just really want to change the conversation and change the experience of people who are challenged, going through these challenging things. It's actually really normal. We lived in a really kind of fucked up world in a lot of ways. I'm sure many of you can find evidence of that. And for people who are sensitive and empathic, that's going to have a real big impact on us. So much of us sensitive and empathic people, we feel what's going on in the world so much more. We're affected so much more deeply by the state of the world, by the state of our family, by the state of so many others. And we need to find a different way. We need to learn a different way so that we can come out of this, we can heal from this, and not just perpetuate the sense of wrongness and isolation. So if you're an empathic person out there, I'm with you. I hear you. I know it can be hard to be a sensitive person in this world. You're not alone, and there is a way through it. If you're struggling with feeling crazy or depressed or not sure if you want to be here or just overwhelmed by your emotional experience, let's give you the right tools to help you change your experience. Let's give you the right kind of support that's really going to make a difference for you, really going to change the story for you, the experience for you, so that you can feel empowered and know how to change those places in your life. This is really a lot of why I wrote Finding Your Own Happy, was to give the tools and the insights and information that I was missing for so many years that just kept me feeling like crap, and to help share them. So please, 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 if you haven't checked out my book already, I'd love to gift you a copy, or gift it to any friend that you know that is going through similar things, and help it make a difference in their lives. Let's help change how people who are struggling in these ways are met and helped and supported on this journey. And thank you everyone for popping in and giving me your love and support here, because this is really important to me and I really want to change this, and hope we can bring some ease and some insight to some of our fellow empaths and sensitive people's lives, and help them realize what a gift and a contribution they are actually to this world, and help them learn how to harness that gift. So thanks for being here, and I'll be back again soon with more. Have a beautiful night. Bye-bye.